then please push the accept button when it pops up. And thirdly, you all have the possibility to ask questions to the speakers. Please go ahead and use the chat and type in your questions. My co-host Sigrid will ask the speaker afterwards in every session for you and cluster the questions also for the speakers. So please be sure to have your questions in the chat. Great. We are all aware that the importance of circularity economy has grown due to environmental concerns, climate changes, and so on. Circularity offers a way to balance economic development with our environmental responsibilities. In our Erasmus Plus project, Fashion and Food for Sustainability, we focus on the common trends and challenges that are interested for both sectors and both sides. I know you all think about maybe about fast food, fast fashion, but there are much more of examples. We will also hear them today, and common problems in both sectors. So our partnership, we have like 8 partners from 6 European countries. The lead partner is the University of Cattolica in Milano, so an academic lead partner, and our project lasts 36 months. As part of this project, we are discussing various aspects with experts on circularity, as we are doing today. So we are very happy to welcome our first speaker, Mrs. Sandra Gottschall, Head of Climate Protection Management at Conbrulus Ultra, sustainable energy and bioresource management experts with over 10 years of experience in carbon accounting, footprints, and climate strategies. So welcome, Sandra. You can, of course, share a presentation, and we will now hear some common myths when it comes to circularity. Welcome, Sandra.
So now I'm unmuted. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm really excited to be part of your webinar and give you some insights on environmental impact assessments of products and the challenges and myths on identifying sustainable solutions, with giving you some examples from the food and the textile sector. My name is Sandra Gottschall. I've been working in the field of sustainability for more than 10 years, and I work for Conbrulus Ultra, which is a consultancy company based in Vienna. And the heart of my work has always been environmental assessments, especially carbon footprints on organizations, but also of products, as well as life cycle assessments, which is addressing much more categories. Within my team, we analyze and measure impacts from companies, mainly on climate change. So the focus is a lot of on global warming potential, and we support our clients to decarbonize their operations and their products. Yeah, so let's get started this. When I started to prepare this input, I tried to think of connections between food and fashion, what this project is all about. And so for me, I thought about what are kind of similar visions or goals towards sustainability and circularity in the food and fashion sector. And this came to my mind. So it is, of course, to a lot of avoiding and minimizing waste, reaching the zero waste goal, and turning waste into valuable material. Of course, we should also have in mind that we shouldn't use no more harmful substances when we create new products. And we should, of course, focus much more on quality than on quantity. So one of Susanne already was talking about this trend from fast fashion, and where we should try to switch from this kind of trend from fast to more slow food and slow fashion again. And yeah, this first brainstorming brought me to the question I see in the center of my input today, which is how to create impact and taking scientific driven decisions towards sustainability. Or to keep it maybe a little bit more simple, what product is really sustainable and what is maybe more greenwashing? Yeah, this is so in the center of my input today. And to answer these questions, we have different tools of environmental assessments. And this is what I would like to show you with the help of some examples. And I have this first another question for you in this context, and this is what a cup of coffee and a t-shirt have in common. So what can this be? And the answer is they both have a life cycle. And life cycle assessment is maybe the most popular method to analyze impacts of a product system, considering all life cycle stages, such as the raw material at the very beginning, then the raw materials are getting processed in the production phase. Then we have a lot of transportations in between. And then we have the use phase where the product getting used, and we have the end of life. Maybe you know this kind of structure already. So the first dimension of an assessment is, or the most important one at the moment, because climate change is our biggest challenge, is a carbon footprint. And I brought you an example where I would like to compare a t-shirt with a coffee. So first, on the one hand, we have a common white cotton t-shirt. On the other hand, we have a cup of coffee, or it's Arabica coffee. It's made with a filter machine. And for this white cotton t-shirt, to produce it, so for the whole life cycle of this white t-shirt, we produce around 10 kilograms of CO2 equivalents. Now, compared to this cup of coffee, this needs around 10 grams of CO2 equivalents for preparing 1 cup of coffee. So really from the production of the coffee, of the raw coffee beans, of the green coffee beans, to the end when preparing the coffee. And to make this example even more clear, so what's now difference of the result with the same methodology? We see here the white cotton shirt, and this red line here represents the use phase, where we have the laundry and drying of the t-shirt. And the study I take the data from took the assumption of 44 times of laundering and drying. So we have here the highest impact of global warming. So it's more than 50% of the whole emissions are caused by the use phase. But we also have more than 20% here in the raw material production, which is the cotton production, and also a little bit more for the manufacturing process. So as a product designer, we should definitely look at those 3 product phases to identify how we can improve the production process and manufacturing. And in the end, it's also a big lever to change maybe the behavior of the consumer in the end. Let's now compare it to the cup of coffee, and we see complete different picture. We have most of the greenhouse gas emissions in this coffee production phase. So this is quite clear that we should focus much more on this phase. So the question here would be, how can we reduce the impact on the global climate during the coffee production phase? So I hope this shows you how different the results can be of carbon footprint, and how different also the results showing to the product designer, for example, where improvements need to be done. And this was also only one dimension. Now another dimension, the water footprint. We have the same example, comparing the T-shirt, where we need 2,500 liters for one shirt, only for the production process, but also 132 liters for one cup of coffee, which is also a lot. If you think about how many cups of coffee you had already today. So think about that. And so we had first the climate impact. We have now the impact due to water consumption. And these are only two dimensions. There are much more. So for example, when we assess a T-shirt, we know we should also have a look on chemicals, because textiles are unfortunately have a high content of chemicals. And we should also think about the questions, how can we, or is this kind of T-shirt recyclable or not? Because worldwide, only 1% of the textiles are recycled because of different reasons. Yeah, that's right. But there are many textiles out there who are not able for recycling yet. So let's go back to the coffee. What else should we take into consideration when we do a sustainability assessment here? Because climate and water, in my opinion, it's not enough. Because when you have a look on coffee, you should think about deforestation. So what's the impact in the production areas, in the countries where the coffee is getting harvested, produced? And there are also quite a lot of social problems, which has nothing to do with environment directly. But if you think about sustainability, you should also take into consideration what kind of social impact product brings with it. And with these examples, I wanted to show you how complex is it to assess and to compare different dimensions of ecological and social topics. And coming now from the methodology to the second part of my presentation, where I wanted to show you a kind of myth, number one. There's a second one afterwards. Because for me, it was like an eye-opener if I heard about this for the first time. And that's why I wanted to share it with you today. And yeah, the myth is about the picture we have that turning PET bottles as a recycled material into textiles seems to be super sustainable, and also a lot of marketing campaigns told us so. But what's really behind this fact? In 1993, the US company Polartec started as a first company, so I read, to turn plastic bottles into textile yarns. So they were the first one who brought it on the market. The main reasons were that it was simple, because they had the amounts of recycled materials. It was quite easy to producing yarn out of it, so it was a quite simple technical innovation, and it was of course quite nice to use it for kind of green marketing. Yeah, what about now? 20 years later, we had to learn that it was only an interim or kind of an interim solution, because much more companies wanted to produce recycled plastic yarn out of plastic bottles, and that led to an increasing scarcity on the recycled raw materials market. So it was really hard for bottle producers to find enough recycled materials or plastic to produce plastic bottles again. And at the same time, we learned from science, from some studies, that nothing is more sustainable than to close the loop beverage industry, because you can close this circle within the beverage industry infinite. So you can close the loop very simple, and this makes so this is has the best environmental performance compared to other products. And there is much more. We have, like all of you know, the European Green Deal, and there are coming with a lot of new regulations, such as the producer responsibility regulation or the greenwashing directive. So also this landscape of regulation becomes always more strict, and that's only also a reason why we should transform to a real circular economy. So what kind of steps we have to take to sustainable circularity? It's important that we focus very much on high quality, lifelong products, especially in the textile sector. And we have to develop very fast real textile to textile recycling technologies. So here's really a gap, because the technologies are still not on a industrial scale available, and therefore we need much faster developments. And there is another trend coming, which has a sustainable feature as well, and these are nature-based textiles. And I also brought you one example here. Ottobox, an outdoor sports company, has the goal to turn to 100% nature fibers as fast as possible. Now I come to the second myth, which is about food waste or byproducts from the food processing industry, and the connection to the fashion sector. I think we all know that it's not okay to use food for any other purpose than to eat. Yeah, but nevertheless, there are tons of waste coming out of the food processing industries. And that's why a lot of scientists and companies and researcher and developer ask what's the most sustainable solution for those kind of materials. Maybe one solution is to bring it back in the natural carbon cycle with composting or with kind of energy production, which is not so easy in some cases, but maybe sometimes the best decision. Yeah, it depends. Another solution is to process this kind of materials into products as well, and so to store the carbon which is in this material for a longer time. So this would be a second possibility. And a big trend is coming up here in the fashion industry when it comes to vegan leather. And as you might know, leather production has a very high negative impact, not only on the environment, but also on health of people who are working in the sector. And it's made of animals, yeah, which is a problem for vegan people as well. So what about vegan leather? It's one of the fastest growing segments of the fashion industry. And there are a lot of materials which are getting turned into vegan leather already. So it's, for example, byproducts of processed apples, ananas. It's also made of mushrooms or cork, as well as I also read about coffee and cacao beans. So there are several materials out there which you can turn into vegan leather already. So there are products out there. There are a lot of different startups, companies out there who are doing it right now. But you have to be careful because not 100% of this vegan leather is bio-based, and so the problem here is that most of those products are containing plastics, so PU and PVC, and this is of course maybe not the best solution for the environment if you think of microplastic, for example. Because another problem still is that most of vegan leather does not last as long as real leather, which means that it's still not that it hasn't that function and durability as real leather has. So what's the message here? We have to be careful with rash judgments of innovative solutions. And I think it's okay if they are not perfect yet, but we also have to make sure that they don't lead or they don't come with new problems on a social or environment dimension. And therefore, it's important to perform impact assessments on a regular basis to avoid those kind of negative impacts and also to avoid greenwashing. So what kind of key takeaways I want to give you? I hope I could show you in this short presentation that there is no absolute truth, and that there are a lot of different dimensions and methodologies of environmental impact assessments out there. So we should always be aware that there are trade-offs when we take decisions on sustainability and maybe also on circularity. And another important point is that we always should be aware of new trends and technologies, because the development goes really fast, and so the opportunities and also the impacts coming with it differs a lot from one year to another year. Then there is one tip I want to give you, that because in this high complexity of environmental impact assessments, where should I focus on first? I would say concentrate on the most relevant impacts, on the hotspots, because here you can gather the best and the highest improvements and create a more sustainable impact. And Another tip I want to give you is that you should conduct environmental assessments on a regular basis to have always a good basis for decision making when it comes to decide for one or another solution. Or if you are in a product design process, environmental assessments are really essential because you can influence about 80% of product environmental impacts within the design phase. So this here is really the lever of sustainability and also circularity. It is in the design phase, and this is maybe relevant for the project or the projects you are involved in. And I really hope I could give some examples and insights on environmental assessments right now. And I thank you all for your attention. And of course, I'm open for further questions and comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I think we all saw how complex this could be, especially life cycle analysis. And so what do our participants think about it? Are there any questions, Sigrid? I saw applause.
There are
Clapping hands.
no questions in the chat yet. I don't know, but you can add any question right now, of course.
Yeah, maybe then I will go ahead. So regarding this life cycle analysis, it's really complex. So what tips would you give like SMEs where to start?
Yes, so I think in a first assessment, we should really focus on a rough analysis on the different life cycle stages to see where the hotspots are. If you remember in the example of the coffee, it was very clear. It was so in the 80% in the production process. So there, here it's very clear where we have to focus on when we think about improvement and sustainability and also circularity. So we at first a rough analysis and then focus on the highest impact, and then we should start to already work on improvements. So this is like how to start. Yeah. And this is already a lot.
Yeah,
it seems to be fast assessment, and then we start. But this is like the first step that we try to analyze in this hotspot phase much more in detail. Why we have those hotspots. In the case of coffee, it is because of land use change, for example. So how can we influence that? How can we maybe make sure that no more deforestation takes place in the areas where we grow out the coffee for our coffee product? So we have to focus on the highest impact phase and go into more details to see where can we really improve and where can we change something on the whole life cycle.
So the quick wins, that's a nice summarization. Yeah, great. I think then we can go ahead and let's see if the design impact is also very important for our next speaker. I think, Sandra, you can not share anymore. Yeah, perfect. So our next speaker, Oliver Ortiz, is the founder of the fashion label Stork and Grumpy Scampi. I love this name, by the way, Grumpy Scampi. He founded the company in 2010 in Geisdorf, that's nearby Graz. And right from the start, he focused on a sustainable business model. And by this time, this was not common at all. So Oliver holds a master's in environmental technologies. He worked also for the United Nations as green entrepreneur specialist. And he will give us some insights today on practical examples and also some possibilities as well as limitations of the circular economy in fashion industry. Thanks for sharing. And Oliver, floor is yours.
Hello. Thank you very much for the opportunity today. Just to check, can you hear me and see my presentation? No?
Oh, now the presentation is gone, but we saw it before.
You saw it and you could hear me clearly. Okay.
Yeah, but now, yes. Nope.
Yes.
Now, that's the presentation. Perfect.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, just like Sandra said before, I'm going back to it. Let me just tell you something about me. I worked for the United Nations for 7 years in the Green Jobs program of the ILO. And back then we worked with a lot of small and medium enterprises in Asia and tried to promote programs together with the governments and private sector to improve sustainability in small businesses. So back then we encountered a lot of limitations that such small businesses are facing when they want to turn more green or more sustainable. During my work, we also dealt with huge manufacturing companies working for H&M, for Esprit and other big players, C&A. And during all that time, I thought, how could we do it better? So I founded my own small brand back then and tried to make something different. And now it's been about 14 years that I'm running this small business. It's still a small business. And now I see everything also from the other side. Like Sandra said before, there's a lot of ways to measure impact, a lot of ways to assess like all the problems in the fashion industry and ways to solve them with technology, with change in consciousness of the consumer and so on. But today I want to give you a little bit of some insight into what is a small business or what can a small business do to add to this change towards a circular economy, and what are the limitations that we are facing, and especially in these difficult times. Sandra already gave you a lot of background info. Let me just tell you something more about some facts about the fashion industry, which maybe you did not know before. Like Sandra said, it's fast fashion. So with digitalization, more web shops, easier access to fashion, and also fast moving trends, the amount of textiles produced is growing immensely. And that also means all the textiles that are not needed anymore in the clothing, since only 1% of textiles are recycled. So it means 99% of them go to waste, end up in a landfill. And the amount of these, the huge amount has doubled from the year 2004. And you can also see like the rate of fabrics. Most of all textile fabrics are synthetic. And the next is cotton, and like other like semi-synthetics or natural fibers are still on the low end. The problem is you already know, and Sandra also said that the cultivation from start. Let's go to cotton, which is a huge problem. From the cultivation, there's a huge CO2 and water footprint. So water is contaminated, soil is contaminated, and whole regions, people there suffer from the industry. And we saw that you need around 2,000 for one t-shirt, 2,000 approximately 800 liters of water for one t-shirt, and also depends on the technology that's used in which region and so on, how much it has to be irrigated. Yeah, a lot of pollution comes with it and a lot of emissions. And the question now that is much more important. Okay, we have some more examples here. For example, the Aral Lake has almost dried up in the last, this is back then, but last 20 years. And this mainly comes from the textile industry and the cotton growth around it. Or you have the pollution. These are pictures from India, Pakistan, dyeing, textile dyeing, probably jeans or others with a lot of heavy metals, chemicals for bleaching, for softening, and so on, going into the water and the soil. And one factor that is talked about a lot at the moment is microplastics. So especially in synthetic or semi-synthetic fibers, with every washing machine, abrasion from wearing and so on, all these microplastic parts go into the water and also end up in our food chain. And that is normally the end of all textiles, all clothing that we buy. They end up in a huge landfill or even get burned. So very concrete, the classical value chain, like this cradle to grave value chain in the textile industry, goes from the raw material cultivation over processing, and then you have the sewing, printing, embroidery, transport to the customer. The customer uses it up, and it goes to waste disposal. And the goal would be to, as we heard, close the loop to circularity. So go back and don't make it linear, so make it a circle. And such a process in basically every value chain or a lot of product value chains, and also the fashion value chain could look like this. And this is a very good graphic from the United Nations Environmental Program. And here you can see that the start from the on the top left, the start from the production side or design side is has a lot of impact. So it has the possibility to reduce impact over the life cycle of the product already by design. And this is one of the, I would say, most important things to consider when we try to change the whole industry. And then on the other hand, you can see where it says refuse, that this is the consumer side. So the consumer has the power to refuse a product, to use its own, his or her or their product longer, to refuse buying new products, and to refuse going with the trends of fast fashion. And in between, from when the product is produced and then it's used by the customer, and the next best part is if one consumer does not want it anymore, it can be reused, maybe by somebody else or even by the same person after some time, and so on. And this small loop here is actually the best or or the most sustainable circle with the least impact on the environment and least social impact that we can have. But normally most of the products have a certain life cycle limitation. Either it gets broken or it has to be refurbished and so on. And then certain designs can give the possibility to make the product repairable or refurbishable and so on. There are a lot of products that are designed in a way that this cannot be done. They have to be disposed, or it's very hard to refurbish or repair them. But this would be the next best cycle: repair, refurbishment, and going back and coming around. And then the third possibility, if it cannot be repaired or cannot be refurbished, the materials or parts of the product or some materials can be or should be recycled and re-entered in the manufacturing chain, and so the circle begins again. I'm gonna try to explain a little bit from our business side and with one specific product, these three main principles of circularity. So, like we said before, reduction, we reduce, we minimize consumption from the consumer side, reduce the resources, reduce emissions and the waste. We try to reuse or build products so they can be reused and extend the product life cycle as long as possible. We try to design them in a way that they can be, or the materials of them can be recycled. And it's quite interesting because Sandra, in her presentation, gave the example of the transformation of PET bottles to textiles, which basically would be or is a good idea, but changed the market in a way that it took away the availability of recycled bottles from the bottle industry. So they had to go back to normal production. And this is, it would be interesting to have a discussion about this. So for a small business, we have to look for ways, how can we act on a small scale with a lot of limitations in a more sustainable way than usual, or the best sustainable way that we can. So what we are doing, and that's the product I want to show you, is all of our functional wear. And I know there are maybe different ways to do this. You can use organic products and so on, but also to see the market, if we want to sell products, and that's what we have to also do, sell products. We also have to offer something that fits to the segment or the consumers that we want to supply to. So what we try to do is, and what we could do, to produce locally as possible. And I'm talking now about these shorts and the leggings and some tops. To produce as locally as possible here in Austria. So what we do is we make all the designs, the patterns, the prototypes, and also small series in our own little swing place, own little production in Styria, so close to Graz in Gleisdorf. And for larger productions, we go to Slovenia, which is only like not even 1 hour from our place. And the reason why Slovenia, not Austria, is because we could not find a suitable partner for functional wear production here in Austria, apart from Vorarlberg. but not anywhere close to our place. And the fabrics that we use, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the fabric now. The fabric comes from Italy. So we try to reduce transport waste, reduce emissions, and also have as much control as possible on all the stages in the value chain. When we design the product, and that's what we did ourselves and we still do with our own team, we try to design our products, and I think they're also known for that in this sport segment. We design them in a way that they last a very long time. And it's, on the one hand, of course, you want to sell products, and but on the other hand, you want people to use them and to wear them basically infinitely. So it's not always easy for a small business to, between these two sides, to find the right way. But what we're trying to do, because we think there's a big market for it. So when one person buys our shorts or leggings, we offer them basically something like a lifelong guarantee. So we offer repair if some stitches should open or something happens. We use the best materials. That basically does not break. So, and we also take back, so old shorts, whatever, shorts, leggings, and we re-enter them. We have partners for that. We re-enter them into the recycling process for new manufacturing. And now what's interesting is the fabric that we chose is regenerated nylon. Would be interesting what Sandra would say about this. So for our standing, it's most sustainable, at least for synthetic fibers, most sustainable option that we could get. These fabrics are produced by an Italian company, and they use old fishing nets. And they also work with some organizations that get these nets and so on. And they use also old textile waste. And they developed a process that can regenerate nylon in a quality that is has no difference actually to new or from new raw materials or oil-produced nylon. So basically these textiles are, I wouldn't say infinitely, but to a very high degree recyclable. Furthermore, yeah, like I also already said, we try to make them, we make them last. So we make the goods in a way that they can be worn for a long time, and also secondhand and third hand. And sometimes I'm looking at Willhaben, which is a secondhand sales platform, and they sell our T-shirts, sell our shorts, and so on for quite a high price still there, which is actually a good sign, I think. At the same time, so this is like one example of how we try to design and make more, I would say, more sustainable products. But on the other hand, we are also, as a small business, very much limited from different sides. We are limited from the market that we can sell to, that we can reach. We are limited in our budget. We are limited in our possibilities to find partners in the textile industry, especially regional partners, to find sewing places, to find material suppliers, and so on. And also we are limited in getting, for example, full certification for our whole value chain, because our partners, like we like to work with small businesses. It's very complicated and also costly. It doesn't pay off for much of the small businesses. So we could not get, for example, GOTS certified, Global Organic Textile Standard certified, and sell the products if our suppliers for the cotton or the sewing places or the embroidery and so on are not certified. So apart from all the limitations, and I think at the moment one of the biggest in general, and I think you could see that in a lot of industries, is that the segment of consumers that we normally supply to is the middle class, is finding it difficult to keep their level of purchasing power. So basically, a couple of years ago, what we noticed is that a lot of people in the middle segment started to buy more regional products, started to buy organic, ecological, sustainable products, and now they're going back to cheaper options. So they're going back to buying at Primark, buying at H&M and Zara, and just do not have the money, or do not want, because they need the money for other things, do not want to spend a lot on more costly regionally produced products. And this is what is becoming a big problem also for us. So to end with, I still see a lot of opportunities for small businesses, also in the fashion industry, even though I must say the reality is like 90% of all the small brands that have emerged in Austria, like 10 years ago, 90% of them already gone again. There's still a lot of opportunities, and I think to look for ways to find solutions for problems, ecological problems, to make better designs, better product designs, to make higher quality goods, to start moving up to a more prime segment, or into a niche, give small businesses a chance. We cannot compete with large textile companies. It's for us to compete with Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and so on. It's very hard, but we can find our niche, and I think we can or have to also work together, and to find partners, to find clusters, to develop products together, and also like over different industries, like the food and fashion industry. They can learn a lot from each other, and I think that's also why we're here. All right. Thank you very much. I hope this small insight into small business was interesting for you. And in the slide, if Sigrid is gonna send it to you, then there are a lot of some resources that you can look up and find out more about what's going on, what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oliver. Great brand, very interesting. And also the shocking pics. I think that should be a good idea to put them also on fast fashion, like at the cigarettes. to
Yeah,
make the
definitely.
customer aware of the shocking, devastating issues for the environment. I think there was a question in the chat, but I think Sandra already answered it. So as we are in time a little bit, so I'm happy, last but not least, to welcome our project partner, Silvia Perez, from the academic side. Silvia is from the Spanish University of Navarra and is currently lecturing design. She also works at the ESMN Fashion and Business School and is doing research projects with major Spanish brands. So, Silvia, having these two sectors in mind, food and fashion, they are academically really separated from each other. Now, when combining them, what are your most promising outputs in the future? What do you think?
Wow, it's a good question. First of all, thank you, Susan and Sigrid, for inviting me to this webinar, and also to Oliver and Sandra for these very good presentations to start the discussion. Well, I think the main question is to help students, help people to understand what is, in fact, circularity. Because when I ask my students, they always say, oh, circularity has to do with recycling, but they don't go directly to the problem, that is the waste hierarchy. First of all, is the question of prevention, the waste, then preparing for reuse, then recycling, then recovering all the potential, and if you cannot do anything else, dispose of it. But this is very important because circularity is always this model of production and consumption in which there are the idea is to extend the life cycle of the product as longer as possible, and involves always a new business model like sharing, repairing, reducing, manufacturing, and creating value from waste. Is one of the principles of the circular economy. So when we tackle fashion and food, at least when I talk to my students, they always say, it makes sense. It makes sense because these are two value chains that affect everyone. Everyone dresses using textiles and everyone eats. So also they have many commonalities in terms of difficulties because there are many problems because they are global value chains. So production and consumption is totally dislocalized. Also, there are problems because normally we used to grow food or to manufacture textiles in third countries, normally the most poor, and it means problems of a human workforce. Sometimes we have to tackle many inequalities, questions about human rights, and many other things. And also we have commonalities in terms of challenges and regulations, as Sandra and Oliver have told before me. I think we have two regulations, many accurate now in the European Union, the regulation of greenwashing that affects totally these two value chains, because we cannot do any green claim without having this reliable, very verifiable and complete information. And also the directive, the proposal from a directive, the amendment of the waste directive, that is totally focused on fashion and food and these two value chains. So I think we have a lot of challenges. We as the university, as the academic partner, we have to provide some information and training to the students of any degree, any background, in order to, well, not only to know, but to improve their behaviors and to understand how the patterns of consumption and production should change according to this new circular economy. I think also we have tomorrow at the European Parliament, there will be probably the approval of two more directives, the directive on the due diligence that affects also these global value chains, fashion, food big companies, because they will be responsible for everything that happens in their value chains, not only in terms of environmental impacts that are very related to circularity, but also in human rights. So I think this is a good news, the approval of this directive tomorrow, but it means that we have to change the way we are doing things. And the other directive that is supposed to be approved tomorrow is the one of the proposal of eco-design. That is not related directly to food or fashion, but it affects everything. And as Sandra told before, up to 80% of the environmental impact can be determined at the phase of design. So it's normal that the European Parliament puts some requirements in order to have products in Europe more circular according to these requirements, to be repairable, reusable, so many things. Well, I think these are the challenges. And well, to tackle these challenges, what we have done in the project is to prepare a learning model. But I don't know if you want to have the presentation, or maybe I can write because we are running out of time. But what we have done is to prepare a glossary that is available at the webpage of the project. You tapped Moda Cult in the Universitat Católica, you will find there a glossary of sustainable, a glossary of sustainability with many of these entries: circularity, circular design, packaging free, click and collect, many things related to circularity. Also, we have elaborated 10 case studies about different companies. It's a pity that we cannot put stock, but we can enlarge the number of case studies. We will probably include stock as a company that is tackling these aspects. And also, we have prepared 6 learning modules that have been tested in different universities, in the Universitat Católica, the University, the Jagiellonian University in Krakow, the University of Navarra in Spain, and also with professors from the Radboud University in the Netherlands. And one of these 6 learning modules is the learning module 2 about circularity. So we have prepared 4 units with these 5 fields of action of the circular economy: take, to select the materials; make, how the process of productions are done; third, to deliver, how the products are delivered to companies; transportation, logistics, packaging, all these things that are very related to circularity. Use, the phase of use, as Sandra told before, is a very important part of the circularity, because sometimes when we think of circularity, we try to think of producers, others, but not me. And depending on how I use things, how I, how I use, I'm responsible of a lot of impacts, not only environmental, but also in terms of emissions. And finally, the process of recovery. So these 5 fields of actions are developed in 4 units, and providing new materials, some videos, and some PDFs, in order that any student from any university can take the course. It's self-paced. It can be done on your own, and of course, to get all this knowledge with many case studies. So I think it's a good news that anyone can take the course. We have to, well, now we are testing and we are thinking of the details in order to improve it. But as we have 5 more months of the project, it will be delivered by November. So I encourage you, if you want to, to follow these kind of materials, and of course take the course if you want.
Yes, thank
I
you,
think it's
Sylvia.
a very
Yeah.
well a small resume, but we don't have much time.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia, and thank you also for sharing the information on our project. So I think I can also highlight the importance of collaboration and innovation, so joint projects. And yeah, and this is everything from our side. Thanks a lot to the three speakers, Sandra, Oliver, Sylvia. Thank you very much for your valuable contributions and the great audience. So please fill in the questionnaire. The link is in the chat, and follow us on the LinkedIn side of Fashion and Food. And have a nice day, and thanks for joining. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.